Welcome back, folks. We are still continuing our look into Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16 through 29. 7 things that are an abomination, that are an abomination unto God. I was going to read that, and then these 6 things does the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. Proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among brethren. And I think we've talked about the proud look, and we've talked about the lying tongue.
Yep.
We talked extensively in both of the last 2 videos about hands that shed innocent blood.
Yeah.
And today we're starting in verse 18. And
we did a heart that devises.
Yeah. Yes, we did. I'm sorry, you're right. We did a heart that devises wicked imaginations.
Yeah.
So we're halfway through verse 18.
Yeah.
Feet that are swift in running to mischief.
That's where we're at.
And
if you've not seen them other 2, go back and watch them.
yeah,
If you have, go back and watch them again.
they should be on a playlist.
Yeah.
And that's attached to these. But anyway, have you had any thoughts on that?
Well, I had, because actually we talked
Yesterday, and you said, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
And I actually meant all week to go up there and look some stuff up, and
Other things happen.
as life goes, you don't make it until this afternoon before you got here. But I did look some stuff up. My thoughts on it, on a feet that be swift and running to mischief.
God hates that.
He hates that. And what all could that be? That could be,
Sounds like somebody eager to run to mischief.
yeah, but what do you call mischief? I mean, are you swift to go and get in trouble? The first thing that popped in my mind would be I don't want to say a tattletale, but a gossiper's one way I look at it. Talebearer. And that's where I went to in my head was talebearer. And I looked up some verses on talebearers.
Okay.
And I've not found one yet that says that's a good thing.
No, there's hardly ever anything good said about somebody.
Actually,
Bear's tails.
it's not one of the 10 commandments, I'm not going to say, but it is in Leviticus, and it is a commandment.
Okay.
Maybe it's like the Mosaic Law. I looked it up. You all can look it up too. It's Leviticus. Hold on a minute. Leviticus 19 and verse 16. It says, "Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord."
Yeah.
So that's, don't go about as a talebearer, and that's a gossiper.
Talebearer is a mischievous person.
Well, sticking their nose where it don't belong, as we would say today.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug, did you hear what so-and-so did? Whether they did it or not, a lot of people say, well, if it's true.
Will you tell me after we turn this off?
Yeah. That's them that's got them trash can ears. Ain't want to hear that stuff.
Yeah.
But people do that. And I've heard people, you go, well, you ain't supposed to be spreading rumors. You go, well, if it's true, it's not a rumor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're a talebearer.
Yeah.
God says, if so-and-so, whoever I said that about, or whoever might have been on your mind when I said that, if they did something, it's not my place to run tattle and tell everybody. That's a talebearer. And actually, Solomon, we figure, wrote most of the Proverbs. I think there might be 1 or 2 that he didn't write.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
But most of them, they are several. If you mind me reading a verse or 2.
Go for
I've
it.
got a note, people. I went through and marked them right before you got here. Proverbs 11:13. 11 and 13. It says, "A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter."
Okay.
If you're a Christian, you shouldn't be running about, even though we mentioned Billy Bob in one. Doug, did you hear what Billy Bob did?
Okay. Billy Bob will be our whipping horse.
Yeah, that's Billy Bob did such and such.
Yeah.
Well, if Billy Bob robbed the bank. Billy Bob stole this. Billy Bob did that.
Yeah.
It's not my place to run and tell everybody.
No.
Even if I know for sure he
Might be
did
a place to talk to Billy Bob about it.
Might be my place to talk to him in private.
Maybe.
Maybe. May not be
Yeah.
my place.
Might not be.
I'm going to read you another one. I'll get off reading these and we just get to blabbing. Proverbs 18, if anybody's keeping count on them. 18 and verse 8, it says, the words of a talebearer are his wounds, and they go down into the innermost part of the belly. The quickest way you can lose a friend is go rattling your mouth about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the quickest way to make an enemy.
Yeah.
Make someone that will not trust you. And if you're where you should be, you should not want to hear it.
Or spread it.
You shouldn't want to spread
Either
it.
end of that.
But you shouldn't even want to hear
You
it.
shouldn't want to be the output or the input of that.
You don't want. You should go. It's not my place. I think I may have said this before. I know a man. Think the world of him. I asked him to go do something with me once, and he said I can't go there. And I said, why not? And he said, well, you said I could. And I said, what do you mean I said I could? You couldn't. He said, you told me they wouldn't allow a felon to come do that, and I'm an ex-felon. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And I really and truly, to this day, I've never asked him. And he started to tell me, right? He started to go, well, I'm a felon because. I said, oh, don't even tell me what that was.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to spread
met
to somebody
that man.
else.
I met that man after he became a child of God, right?
Yeah.
And all those things God said he would remove them as far as east from the west. I didn't even want him to tell me what he had done.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look, it's not that I don't care, but I don't want to know that. Because if it is something that you think is bad, and I think it's bad, maybe one of these days he'd put a knot between us.
Yeah.
And I don't want to know that because he's my friend. I think he's a good man. And I trust him with anything I got.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I got two more for you and I'll shut up. Actually, there's three more, but one of them is a repeat. 20.
Proverbs 20.
Proverbs 20 and 19. It says, he that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. Right?
Yes, I was turning my blind back.
If he's here rattling about you or rattling to you about somebody else, he'll probably rattle to somebody else about you.
Yeah.
He's flattering you at that moment with his lips.
Yeah. A talebearer just bears tails.
Yeah.
That's what he do. Or
Yeah.
she do. Let's blame it on the she's.
On the sheets, okay.
That's what she does. She bears tails. The talebearer, that's what they do.
Yeah. 26:20, and I'll quit reading. Actually, there's two here, but it's a repeat. 26:22 is a repeat of 18:8. If anybody's keeping up with that, if you read one, it's identical to the other. But chapter 26, verse 20. Where no wood is, the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceases.
So
Right.
So
If there's trouble among friends, if there's trouble in a church, if there's trouble in a group of people, if you keep talking to everybody about it in that group of people,
it'll just keep getting
it'll
stirred.
just keep getting burned. It'll keep on
Keep
burning.
stirring them ashes, and it'll keep flaming back up.
You're pouring gas on the fire.
So those talebearers and or other folks that
To me, that's running to mischief.
run to mischief.
That's a form of mischief.
I looked up in one of our concordance things
Okay.
the word mischief, and it is this particular one here. And I'm sure in the New Testament mischief's mentioned. It would obviously be in Greek there,
Mm-hmm.
but this would have been in Hebrew. So I didn't try to track it down. But it is translated. The same word is translated 442 times as evil.
Mm-hmm.
And it's translated 59 times as wickedness, 25 times as wicked, 21 times it's translated mischief, and 20 times hurt. And then there's a whole lot of other words that go in there that are not any numbers in them.
Yeah.
So when we think, and it means to do this. So and then I looked up the word evil in a dictionary.
Yeah.
And it says the condition of being immoral, cruel, bad, or an act of this type. So condition of being immoral would be evil. A cruel person would be
Evil.
A bad, or an act like those things
Yes.
would be evil. So it could be an act, or it could just be that. I thought, okay, so the translators we're reading King James, and most of the more modern translations use the word evil here.
Okay.
But for some reason, the translators of the King James chose to use the word mischief here. So that when we think of mischief, we think of Vic when he was young, was right mischievous, right? Don't you be getting in any mischief, boy, because the belts are waiting for you.
It waited on me a lot.
So we think of mischief
Sometimes I didn't get a lot of rest.
in modern day USA American English,
Yeah.
mischief has been used as naughty to mean them boys are mischievous, like they might stick the girls.
Mischievous young lads.
Yes, yeah. But so I looked up the word mischief, and it can mean the number one meaning in today's world. They had in there as behavior that causes annoyance or difficulty.
Well,
and those things that you
can apply here.
they were definitely causing that, but they're called those people that you're reading about are causing a lot more than annoyance.
Oh yes.
They're causing divisions, they're causing hate, they're causing all kinds of things. So to give the King James again was translated 16 whatever. So the word has shifted a little bit. When they used mischief then, it was more, I think would be the second meaning. It means to damage. It means destruction, injury caused by a specific person or thing. To be mischievous is to cause destruction, cause harm. And you know, we've downplayed a little bit in that there's levels of it. Right? So I don't think, for instance, that
Do we not do that with everything?
oh,
I mean,
well,
and I don't want to get us off course, but I think this will kind of be included. You think any sin's worse than another sin? If I lied to you, is that worse than murdering you? In man's eyes, it is.
In man's eyes, it is. But I'm ill-equipped to go to chapter and verse on this, but I will try to find it. There are scriptures that indicate that some things God might abhor more than others.
I agree. There's some things he says is an abomination,
like these 6 things we're talking about here.
and it does make you think
And
that.
so, you know, the little boy dipping the little girl's pigtails back in the day in the inkwell was mischievous.
Yeah.
And it was a bad thing. And it was probably sinful. But it wasn't, he ought not be doing that. But it wasn't an abomination to God.
I know what you're saying.
But I'm gonna go back with something too. Jesus said, if you break one portion of the law, you broke them
You
all.
broke them all. You're guilty
So
and stand in judgment.
So one sin carries no more.
punishment than the other. You're punished for breaking the law. And I said this once. You may have heard. I've heard it said a few times. Some of you may think it's a silly analogy, but it works in my head. Take a glass, a window. You go. It's got a top side, a bottom side, a left side, a right side, an inside, an outside, and it's got 4 corners.
Okay.
It's got 10 parts.
If it's square, yeah.
If it's a square, if it's a square shape of some sort, it's got those parts. If you break that window in a corner, you don't say, I broke the corner of the window. I broke the window.
Well, it depends who I'm telling it to.
Well, if you're a kid,
I'm saying, I just broke the corner.
I just broke the one side of it, but it's all the same
You
window.
broke the window.
You broke the window,
Yeah.
see?
And that's kind of where you at as a kid hitting it with a rock and it breaking the corner out of it, and a parent going, no, you broke the window, got to replace the whole thing. So that's a way for me to visualize it. You go, okay, that's 10 parts I showed you in a window.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when I break the window, it don't matter that I didn't break this part of it over here. I broke the window.
The whole window's broke.
The whole window's broke, and I get punished for breaking the window.
Yeah.
And so I do agree that I do believe that God, when it says it is an abomination, I'm sorry, it just carries a heavier meaning to me.
Yeah. And that's not the only scripture. I'll try to look at that post
Oh,
above
no.
or something.
Yeah, there's other things, yeah.
So I read both of them and I thought, man, I've sat and I've gone, what's it mean to be swift to running to
You're eager to go do it.
evil?
You're eager to go do it.
Eager to go do it. And the talebearers a lot of times are that way. They just cannot wait for juicy gossip.
That's why I thought of that.
Yeah, and that is definitely one of them. And they do a great deal of damage. And I think they'll really play when we get two more down when it talks about sowing discord. Talebearers sow so much discord in the church, among brothers and sisters in the flesh. I mean,
they can make
it's among mess. Everybody. Yeah,
I've seen that happen. Somebody
run and tell this on somebody else at church and that on.
Yeah.
And the poor guy walks in and goes, huh? Because by the time it got to somebody that would say something, it was way
last week I was welcomed here, and this week I was allowed to sit down. Yeah.
I left here a hero yesterday.
Today I'm a zero, you know.
So look at Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59. I'm going to read 1 through 4.
Isaiah 59.
Yeah, I'm going to read 1 through 4, and then I'm going to skip down to 7 and 8 because I don't want to go through the cockroach eggs and the spider webs and try to explain all that meaning and stuff. Okay, but it doesn't subtract from what I'm reading. I'm going to put this over on me while I read this so y'all can watch me stumble. All right, it says, Isaiah 59, 1 through 4. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy, that he cannot hear.
Okay.
Next verse. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. Understand that it's not that he cannot hear, is that he will not hear because sins have separated us. Right?
He says he'll laugh at your calamities.
Yeah. For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, and your tongues have muttered perverseness. None call for justice, nor any pleads for truth. They trust in vanity, they speak lies, they conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. Jump down to verse 7. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. So people...
It goes on right after that, if you don't mind me reading one more.
I don't have it looked up.
The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. Hey, you kept that off of me.
We should shift it over back to you. Okay, I missed the button twice.
Yeah.
And I just stopped off at 8 because I thought I already read enough. But anyway,
well, you had, but I
come down. But what I was going to say is, the way of peace, if you look at verse 1, it says God can hear us.
Yeah,
He's talking to the nation of Israel here, because the nation of Israel is falling, and it's like
they brought it on themselves.
They're looking around at their nation, they're looking around at their country, and they're going, "What's becoming of us? It's evil. We got to cry out to God." And He says, "It ain't that God can't hear you. God can hear you."
Yep.
But it says, "But He won't hear you. He won't hear you because you're dead to Him, because you've been separate, because your sins have separated you from Him." And then He goes through and lists some of them. But to bring it to what we're talking about today, verse 7 says, one of those things that separated us from God as a nation here, but I think as an individual, it will do that too. And I think sometimes it'll do it within a church. Their feet run to mischief. They run to evil. We're just, I mean, the news media, which do you think makes the most successful news story? One that broadcasts evil about all the terrible things that's going on, or the one that broadcasts about all the good things that's going on? Which one do people flock to?
How many news reports have you seen where some guy stops a car and gets out and helps a little old lady across the street?
Yeah.
Because they don't get views.
Yeah.
But if he stopped, got out and hit her in the head of the club, he'd be all over the news.
Yeah. So we tend to run to evil as a people.
Why do you think that is? Well, this may get us off subject, but I think this is good to follow.
it's because we are fleshly.
We are fleshly. But, now, I think I'm right on this. If I see you doing something wrong, and I want everybody else to see you doing that wrong, am I not trying to take the eyes off of me so I don't look so bad?
Oh, well, yeah.
That could be one reason. I want to see that because I think I said this before. I would never do that. I'm better than them, and I used you as an example on that.
I'm better than them because they're bad.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm not so bad.
I talked to a gentleman today right out here in the driveway for several hours, actually, longer than I've ever talked to him, probably, about those things. He's been to our church a time or two, and he just don't go. He just don't go to church, and he has hard feelings toward churches.
Yeah,
and
that happens.
He's told me things, that he says he's made his peace with God and this and that. I'm always worried when somebody says they've made their peace with God. But anyway, but he don't want to go to church. And I go, you don't have to go to church to be saved. I'd never say that you had to. But I think you'll want to.
You need to.
You need to. How do you know you pass from death unto life? You'll have a love for the brethren.
Yep. That's what
you'll have that desire. That's what God's word says.
Yep.
You'll have that desire to be around like-minded people.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm sorry, I got us off course.
I looked up. I just said riots or protests, right? Because you see these protests on TV all the time, and a lot of those people we have come to learn are paid protesters.
Oh yeah,
that's how I make money. Right? There's going to be a protest.
Yeah.
If you're paying people to show up, I'll be there. Right?
Give me a bus ticket there, and I'll make the sign up.
Whatever sign you want me to carry, I'll carry.
I may have to stop breathing to see what I'm protesting against, but I'll.
So I looked up. I just said, typed in there some protests, right? Some things people protest. I got a PBS report.
Okay.
Says tens of thousands have joined pro-Palestinian protests across the USA. So we got tens of thousands of people, according to PBS headline.
Okay.
And I'm just going to read the headlines. Join this protest, pro-Palestinian protest, which is anti-Christian, anti-Israel, anti-Christian. So, from a Christian viewpoint, that would be running to evil. Tens of thousands of them ran to do that. Our colleges all over the country got hundreds, if not thousands, of kids, young kids, a lot of them gay.
I was going to say,
practicing homosexuals that protest Israel and are pro-Hamas and pro-Islam and not even understand that they would kill them in a heartbeat.
They wouldn't have the right to protest over it. They wouldn't have the right to live.
No,
they would kill them. They'd throw them off a building or something, and that's what they do. People say, no, it's not like that, but that is what those people are doing.
And a lot of that, these younger people, they just don't understand all that yet. Mm-hmm. They're not. They learned a lot of things that I don't know, but they haven't been in the world long enough to have been exposed to enough to have all their, and we all change as we grow older, yes. Continually growing. Next one I found was nationwide protest draws thousands in support of abortion rights. There are literally thousands and thousands of people that will run out to protest or to support abortions. Now, whether you are, we talk a lot about it in the other one, but it's just to run to evil. They're eager to run to evil. And at least it ought to be thought, man, it's an awful thing, but sometimes it has to be. I can understand that thought process, but when you get to the point where you're saying, I'm going to go protest in support of abortions, right? I want people to have the right to snuff that life out. We should have the right to do that.
I saw, being you brought up that, I seen a video, been a few years ago now, of a doctor
Yeah.
standing before Congress
Yeah.
and talking. He had done, I forgot how many thousands of abortions he himself had done.
Yeah. You can do them a whole bunch in a day.
He brought the tools that he used to do abortions. And they were asking him how he felt that he was an authority on this subject. He said, he opened that pouch up and set those things out, and he said, I can't tell you for sure how many children I have murdered.
Yeah.
He said,
Play that music.
somebody is. He said, I was the main doctor at 3 abortion clinics.
Yeah.
I would go in Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday to 3 different abortion clinics. And he said I would do one every 15 minutes till dinner time. Stop for 30 minutes and do them every 15 minutes till I got done that evening.
Yeah.
He could do one in 15 minutes and let the nurses take care of the rest. He said did that for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. They would add up.
He said I never had a problem with it until my wife wanted to get pregnant and couldn't. And he said something happened in me.
Huh. Yeah.
He said,
God moves
here
in
these
mysterious
people
ways.
are. Yeah. Here these people are. They're coming to me to kill their babies.
Yeah.
And my wife's over here crying her eyes out because we can't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And he said something started changing in me, and I thought, I'm killing children.
Yeah.
And he said, and I feel like that gives me the authority to be here and speak on this subject. You want to say people don't know what they're talking about? I'm going to show you exactly how we do it.
Yeah.
Man, he pulled this set of big old tone things out that was scary looking. He
Yeah.
said, the first thing I do is shove that in there and grab that infant's head and crush it and tear it apart.
Yeah.
And it's a big old claw looking thing. I'm going, that'd be pretty evasive just to grab that in somebody.
Yeah.
But, I mean, then they tried to tell him he couldn't.
A weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, well, it'd be mass destruction.
Well, mass destruction.
Close your skull
you
with
kill
it.
masses of people with it.
But anyway, so yes, people do change their minds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he went on. There was other people there that was talking about it, said that for a long time they didn't have a problem with it. And something happened. They started having nightmares and this and that. Something was working on them, telling them they're doing bad things.
Yeah.
And they couldn't.
Hopefully it's
A lot of the nurses,
God,
a lot of the nurses and stuff said they couldn't do it anymore. But they were having to convince Congress that they had the right to speak on that subject. You go, these people protesting out here,
They don't know anything.
they may have never had one. They may have never even had a young one. But, you know, and they're telling you it's okay. And you go, you wouldn't think it's okay if that thing come in there
They
trying to
know a
crush
lot
your
less than
skull.
he does about it. Yeah. One of the other headlines that popped up was "Find protest near you." It was put on there by findaprotest.info. So if any of y'all need one, just feel the need that you want to have feet that are swift to running to mischief. You can go online, and there were several of those sites.
If you just
that-
have the urge, go protest. something.
as a matter of fact, you can, find a protest near me. I mean, just like finding a McDonald's. Another headline that popped up was FBI probes targeted violence against religious groups after Seattle protests, and that was sometime this year. It might have been toward the end of last year. There was a religious thing going out there, and protesters came, and there was a big battle between them and stuff. But there were people swift to run. But people are swift or in a hurry to run to mischief in this nation, which is exactly, I think, what Isaiah was telling in his
not
country.
everybody is. But there's a great
Oh yeah,
massed bunch of people.
It's a large mass of folks that are that way.
Is it the mob mentality?
Mob mentality. I looked that up
They
first.
get somebody fusses about something, they all get charged up on it.
I thought I would find something on there on those flash mobs. So I just typed in flash mobs, and everything they brought up there was like
Singing.
singing and dancing and stuff like
That's
that. And that's probably the majority of what that is. But you could have a flash mob because you can organize something like that quick now. I mean,
these
you
people.
online, it's got 1,000 people, and they've got 1,000 people that you don't have on yours.
They people sitting there with a short fuse and a lighter in their hand saying, "Dare me to put it over."
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like you mentioned that last week about your daughter. That lady was real quick to tell her.
Oh yeah,
she
was quick on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me read one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Acts 13:10, and this is Paul and them walking along. I can't remember where they're at, and remember the sorcerer guy that was named Bar Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He had a different name in a different language that they used.
He wanted them to
give him that power.
He wanted them to give him that power. And Paul turns around and said, "O full of all subtlety and mischief, you child of the devil, you enemy of all righteousness, will thou not cease to pervert the right ways of the Lord?"
He was wanting to give him the power to lay hands on people and give them the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
The only people that ever had that people before, and I'll argue with anybody on this, the only people that God ever gave that to was the apostles.
And prophets.
And prophets before.
Yeah.
But when Christ came, when he gave his apostles special powers, it says that. And they're the last ones that got those powers.
I think you're correct on that. So anyway, Paul says that he's subtle,
Sneaky.
He's subtle like the serpent, and he's full of mischief. And he wanted those powers for evil.
He wanted those powers to make money.
Feet swift to running to mischief. Be sure that your feet aren't that way. Especially when you use Vic's example of the tail bear that does that. And there are a lot of those, and we'll use that a lot more when we get to lessons. We'll have at least one more of these, and then probably finish this up on this. We'll get the next two next time around. Got anything you want to add?
Don't be a tail bear. Don't be swift to run the mischief.
Don't be swift to run the mischief. Because
you get old like me, you won't be swift enough.
And always remember, it's not that he can't hear, it's that sometimes he chooses not to hear you because of how you behave.
Yes. He said, because you would not listen to his warning. That may be in Proverbs. No. Somewhere. I was thinking Romans a while ago, try to find it. But he says, I will laugh at your calamities.
Yeah.
You'll cry out to me, and I will not answer. Didn't say it won't hear you.
It was there in Isaiah.
Yeah.
Come back to this, folks. Hit that like button, subscribe, leave us a comment, tell us where we're wrong.